Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to use Suella Braverman's latest outrageous behaviour regarding homeless people this time, as well as demonstrators, to highlight just how destructive it would be to even see her lead the Conservatives after the election in opposition, even if it helps keep the Tories out of power for longer. It's just not worth it. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, Suella Braverman has been contributing to what is turning into a weekend of Tory outrages. She's not only sought to stoke tensions over the continuing pro-Palestinian marches by referring to them as hate marches, something the Met Commissioner even criticised, and explicitly saying that she felt every single person taking place in those marches was doing so out of a sense of hate. Not isolated pockets. No, everyone. That's what she said. Not only a grievously unfair characterisation, but incredibly stupid. Well, stupid if it is your aim to keep the peace on the streets of Britain. But Braverman has often struck me as someone who would see civil war in this country as long as it did her some political good. But her statement on homelessness cannot pass without comment either. She essentially said there's no such thing as enforced homelessness. She said it was a lifestyle choice. She further said she wanted to take away the pop-up tents of homeless people on the streets as we head into winter and criminalise charities who give them out. You know, it was a comment so far out there that the immediate pushback came from a fellow Conservative, Bob Blackman, who heads up a parliamentary group working to end homelessness. Blackman attacked her characterisation of homelessness and even pointed out that it's essentially a political choice. This is something we hear many people discuss. It's quite unusual to hear a Tory MP saying it. You know, he said that during the lockdown of 2020, we actually did deal with the issue. All of a sudden, when we needed to, we were able to find them temporary accommodation. Interesting that when it's suddenly in the government's interest, they can do all sorts of things. But beyond the statement she's making, I want to draw attention to the damage she could do even as leader of the opposition. You know, the reason why any governments feel either able or even compelled to fail to tackle the root cause of a problem is because the public's perception has been thrown so far out that they're deliberately misinformed about what the problems really are, and especially what the causes are. You know, people are told asylum seekers, oh, they're actually illegal immigrants. No. If they were classified as illegal immigrants by the Home Office is perfectly entitled to deport them. No fuss from any lawyers. People are told that housing's a problem because we have too many people in the country. Not true. Even the far right say we don't have enough people in the country. We need to have more babies. They're constantly saying that. What they mean is they want different types of people in the country. The reason for housing failures is they stopped building enough homes. It's that simple. I mean, on the immigration front, people's perceptions were thrown so badly off track that a distressing number were convinced that immigration from Africa was somehow something to do with free movement amongst Europeans. Having Suella Braverman as Home Secretary is incredibly destructive for this country. All the problems she complains about were either created or made worse by her party or even herself personally. It's almost unbearable that we may yet endure another year of it. And worse still, those who claim opposition to her hateful rhetoric are constantly doing their best to make sure she remains in post for years to come. But if you imagine a scenario whereby the Tories lose the election, Sunak stands down, Braverman replaces him as Tory leader, it's actually horrendous. I appreciate that some would see it as ensuring that the Conservatives take years more before they can start to repair the damage, that it means that they become unelectable for longer. But as leader of the opposition, she'll actually get to lead public debates more effectively than as Home Secretary. And this is because, although she'd no longer be in government, she would be deciding every single policy of a political party which could conceivably become the government. At the moment, in theory, she has control over Home Office policy. But in reality, Rishi Sunak drives overall policy directions. Whereas leader of the opposition, she's deciding them all. Now, they're not being implemented, but if she won the election, they would be. So that makes her rhetoric more newsworthy. And she will have very willing outlets for her bile in the mainstream media. Some would happily push her poison. Others would feel the need to counter it. We're already in danger of losing our tolerance as a nation. And consider that the Conservative Party is already there. Like, if Braverman ends up on the final ballot, which goes to members for the new leader, I really have no serious doubts they'll vote for her. I don't think Braverman's in step with the general population or even swing voters, but I do think she finds a very willing audience amongst Conservative Party members. It's ironic that she keeps talking about tackling extremism. The best way we can tackle the most destructive extremism in the UK is to de-radicalise Conservative Party members. And as terrible as it would be to see her as leader of the opposition, like, imagine if the Tories did win the election, still ditch Sunak, because they really don't like him, and install Braverman with several years before she had to go to the electorate. The Guardian is reporting this weekend that the Tories have a plan to label anyone deemed to be undermining the UK as an extremist. Now, if that doesn't raise alarm bells, I don't know what does. You know, who's going to decide what is deemed undermining the UK? The very people doing the most to undermine the UK, the Tories. You know, this is what I feared years ago. Before Labour got themselves into a winning position after the last election, this is what I saw coming. This is what the Tory party are now. Fascists and bigots. There were always elements in there, of course, but there are also tolerant elements as well who tended to mostly hold sway. But the fascists are now in charge, and it's full steam ahead. The UK cannot possibly survive this, of course. We need the Tories to be booted out of power, but we also need to cut out the rot before they can return. I've said before, the Tories will eventually work out that putting the nutters in charge won't win the elections. So they will swing behind more appealing leaders. But the nutters will still be there. They won't be gone. Once their puppets have won them power, then just as happened 10 years ago, they'll come out of the woodwork again to take over, taking advantage of the Labour Party having its usual post-election loss meltdown and in no position to oppose them for another decade. That is my fear. It's a fear that becomes all the more likely if Braverman is even allowed to lead in opposition. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.